Every day I lived my life like a zombie. I was doing what I was supposed to do, I was going to class, I was moving my body, but my mind was mentally checked out. I was that girl who hated free time and group work more than class time, because that means that if we had group work, I would be forced to sit with other people in silence instead of pretending that I don't exist. During our free time, I would lay on my desk, think about my stories, and escape the current reality that I had. I could not look people in the eyes. And if someone tried talking to me, I would pretend I was listening, but in reality, my mind would just be blank. And honestly, I don't know if social anxiety is the right label for what I experienced, because it felt so different from a lot of the things that I've seen online. But I'm just here to share my experience so that if someone's experiencing the same thing, you'd find someone that you can relate to. But before I start sharing my experiences with you, I want you to first have a context of how I grew up. I grew up with a strict religious family who didn't trust other people outside of their religion. I was told a lot of things growing up that resulted in me crushing my inner voice before it had even formed. I'm not trying to make you my therapist, so I won't say anything more about that. I invite you to just fill in the blanks with your imagination. Because of that, I dissociated for most of my life pretty much, and I didn't have any opinions of things. I was just a shell walking and having no idea what I even wanted. I forgot to mention that I grew up in the Philippines and we moved to the United States when I was 13. So a lot of the culture differences enhance the anxiety that I already had. One step at a time. No, really. I was not able to talk more than one word per day in school and at home, and I didn't know how to fix that. I didn't have any outside help as well. So I decided to take it a tiny step a day. I looked at myself and I looked at the things I found difficult to do, and I created my own goals based on that. Because I felt very awkward looking people in the eyes, because I felt very weird talking more than one word, and I found it very difficult to even say hi to people. I started there. After lunch hours, I would open the door for people and wait for them to come in, to walk into the buildings and say hi to them, because that was the only way I knew how to interact with others. But what I did at the time was celebrating the little things that I did for myself, and how I am constantly pushing myself out of that comfort zone. Even if it's something other people just take for granted, it was something that was very difficult for me. Being a little delusional doesn't hurt. To give you a context to this, I grew up in the Philippines and moved to United States when I was 13, and that was around second half of my 8th grade. And at the time, I had friends, but we had a falling out up until the first 2 years of my high school, so I was just pretty much alone. Sometimes it's necessary that you become a little bit delusional to get yourself through whatever circumstances that you're going through. Like, sometimes as a younger person, you can't handle the pain, so your brain tries to help you out by either dissociating you or finding ways to make you cope with it, and that could be delusion. When I was being by myself all those years, I thought that if only I was able to express myself more, I would totally become like popular. I would totally find more friends and talk to people more. And I pretty much lived my life with that hope. And that got me through the grind of later on in my high school years, continuing to look people in the eyes, to train myself to talk to people, to be comfortable with connecting with others. That delusion is what's kept me going, because if I could see what I want to be, it's easier for me to take on all of the uncomfortability, like all of the things that are uncomfortable right now. Obviously, being delusional isn't always helpful in other seasons of your life, and there has to be a time when you look at yourself for who you actually are and accept that. But I also won't deny that delusion can have some advantages if that is your only life vest in the sea full of nothing but water. Then take it. Try not to compare or judge yourself. You are only able to see what you have and what you didn't have, and how you can improve your life little by little every day. From that, everyone's life is different, and I know a lot of people probably tell you this already. You are still young, and I know it may be difficult to understand that you are not going to feel this way forever, and that you will find a way to make it work for yourself eventually. And so long as you're trying to take even the tiniest bit of step regularly, you will eventually find yourself in a different place than you originally were. That's why I recommend journaling, because for me, I am able to and was able to focus on how I want to be in the future and appreciate who I was in the past, instead of thinking about how I don't compare to another person in my age group. I'm speaking from my own experience, but because I am journaling, I'm able to foster this relationship with myself, and I'm more able to empathize with how I grew up. And now I can see, if I look through my journal entries from 10 years ago, then I would be able to understand what I was going through and how difficult that was at the time, and be more compassionate towards that person, towards who I was back then. Remember that how you grew up doesn't have to be how you become in the future. And once you separate yourself from how you grew up, is when you can finally take control over your life and how you want it to work out. Remember that if you weren't allowed to be yourself, the first 20 years of your life is from other people telling you who to be. And that if you were made to feel safe growing up, you wouldn't have been so scared of yourself. But that's for another video. If you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you could click thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. We've barely scratched the surface of how I faced my social anxiety and how it evolved for me over time. For the next video of this series, I will be talking about how I experienced social anxiety and how I faced it in my college years. I'll see you there.